What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Brand and Shred. I can't tell you how excited I am to have Rocky with me today. Raquel Borras is hanging out with us, and we're going to be talking about, as we always do on this show, building a personal brand. In 2022, it's the year of attention. And Raquel truly, she is one of those people that if you've watched her on LinkedIn, if you've watched her on Instagram, wherever you have watched her, or if you just met her in person, she just exuberates with enthusiasm. That's why I just love hanging out with her. And I might even tease a little announcement that her and I, by the time this airs, it actually will already be going. So we actually can talk about it. So we're going to be talking about Women Shred Wednesdays, but I'm so excited to have Raquel part of us and the Shred team working together, collaborating. Raquel, I'm so excited.
And now you can see my PJs.
You can see our PJs. Yes, I love it. That's why we get to work from home. Like we get to hang out in whatever we want, comfortable clothes. It's like at the holiday seasons right now when this thing drops when we pass the holidays, but like we're comfortable and we're cool with that. It's all good. But that's what I love about you. You're just you. Like you're like, yeah, it's good. I don't care. I'm wearing my PJs and I'm rocking on a podcast. That's what I'm doing today.
Hey, it's part of my brand.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. I like it. I like it. So Raquel, again, most people listening to this, they know you, they love you, they follow you. You, like I said, you're so brilliant. You're one of those people that I truly like. When I see your content, it makes me smile. It makes me happy. It's just because, again, you are you, which we're going to be talking about in this episode in particular. But for those who may not know you, for those who maybe this is their first chance meeting you or seeing you, tell us a little bit about Raquel Borras.
I always say, like, how many days do you have?
I said, how long is this? We got 12 hours. Let's go.
Yeah, not hours, days. I guess just to kind of wrap it up and with a nice little, bow, I am a mom. That's like a big thing for me. Ex-wife. But
how many kids do you have?
No, but how many kids do I have?
Yeah.
So I have a son who's going to be 21 in March. And then I have a daughter who's 17 and will be graduating from high school next year. So that is a kind of a big part of who I am. Because a lot of what I do has to be like, along the lines of being a mom, what I've learned from my kids, being divorced, having a great relationship with my ex-husband. That's big. I mean, there's just so many things, but I guess at the end of the day, like you said, I want to just have people see my content and just laugh or smile. Because I myself have struggled from mental health issues back when I was younger in my teens. I had a suicide attempt when I was at UCLA. So I've been in a really dark place. So I'm now on the other side. So for me, it's so important to really appreciate that I am alive and that, there's so many things that I am grateful for. And I just think laughter and smiling and just trying to be like a happy human being as best as possible is the way to go and the way to be. That's just me. So I try to kind of share that with the world, if you will.
But that's what I appreciate that so much about you, because what you just shared, I mean, it's real. Like it's like real life. Some people love to sugarcoat things. Some people like to hide things from the world. Sometimes when we start doing this, when we're creating content, sometimes it's all just, sunshine and rainbows, but life isn't like, and that's what, again, I have so much respect and admiration for you, is because you're willing to talk about the things that real life, like the shit that has happened to us throughout life. And you're willing to be honest about it. So I know that's why this is going to be a really fun conversation, in particular, sharing that, the things that you've learned, sharing the things that you've seen, the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to, building a brand and growing your presence. And you are one of the most respected women and people throughout the entire mortgage industry in particular. People look to you, you're a speaker, you're an influencer, but that didn't happen overnight. So I want to kind of talk about that journey. When did you start to realize that you're like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm comfortable with me. I want to share me with everybody. I want to, like you said, I want to make people smile. When did you start realizing that you could do that by creating content, and building a brand?
It really started with LinkedIn, because when I got divorced 11 years ago, I immediately got off of Facebook, because I'm one of those people where I didn't want people really in my business and have an opinion as to why, I was going through divorce. I just didn't want that. So I deleted it. Instagram had just started. And the only reason why I was on Instagram was because my kids were on there, but it was still fairly new. No one really knew the power in it yet. So then I thought, okay, I'm divorced. I'm going into the corporate world. I might as well get on LinkedIn, because I kept getting these invites. And I'm like, what is this LinkedIn platform? Not realizing it's older than Facebook, Instagram, all of those. But at the time I thought, okay, let me kind of tap into that platform. And I just literally studied it. Like, I tell people that I'm a very intuitive, perceptive person. So I literally was trying to see oh, what are people posting? What is this all about? And just kind of over time, I realized that people wanted to see you. I know it's a business platform, but I started realizing that showcasing who you are and your personality is just as important as anything else. And so I started doing that. And in the beginning, I'll be honest, I was trying to put myself out there as this very professional person. Not that I'm not, but what I thought was professional, right?
Sure.
And so the content that I put was definitely different. But every now and then I put something that made me laugh, and I realized that people really gravitated towards that, and it resonated with them. And so then that's how I slowly started building, I guess, an audience, if you will, and understanding what people liked and what connected with them. And that's just how I tell people with their brand anyways. It's very much trial and error. Really just figuring out, who are those like-minded people that you're trying to attract? Because really you're essentially trying to attract what you want in your life. I mean, I want laughter, happiness, positive people that are generous, people that are just kind, compassionate. So if I put that out there and exude that, then I'm hoping in return, I'm going to receive that. And I have. So it works.
And I think sometimes people overthink that. Sometimes they think well, I'm trying to put out content, or I'm trying to put something out that ultimately is going to bring something back to me in return of ROI, of sales or service or whatever it may be. What you just said there, guys, you have to go back, rewind it, listen to that again, because that is the foundation of why everyone should be creating content, be building a brand, is because ultimately we're just trying to build relationships. Like you said, Raquel, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people who support you, people who love you, people who, make you smile as well, because it's not just a one-way street. As much as you exude, like you said, that excitement, that laughter, that love, you still you want to surround yourself with those same type of people, because as much as we all try to, be the ones always just exuding those positive vibes, we have to have the same people around us, because every once in a while we fall on hard times too. So being able to have those great friends, being able to have that great support system, the fact that that's why you did it, you're one of those people who came from a real place, with a genuine place. You didn't say hey, you know what? I want to be an executive in the mortgage industry. I want to be an executive, so I'm just going to go build a brand. I want people to like me. I just want people to see me. You did it from such a real place. And that's what I think made the difference. And it's been fun for you. If you watch your content, you have fun with it. You enjoy it.
Much fun. I tell people that every time they're like, oh my God, it looks like you're having so much fun. I'm like, it's because I am. I don't fake that stuff. That is true, genuine, joy and happiness in what I do. And, just to kind of also elaborate on, for instance, with LinkedIn and putting myself out there, I love collaborating. I'm all about teamwork. I love showcasing other people. I really am. I don't, obviously I put stuff out there with it's just being, myself and me alone. But in the beginning, I was really adamant about wanting to share that I have really cool people in my life. And so with LinkedIn, every time I'd go to an event or a networking or a happy hour, anything, I always made sure I took pictures with the people at the event or the people that hosted it. And I always talked about those people. And I always just wanted to share the spotlight, if you will. And what happened there is that I was pretty much free PR and marketing for a lot of these people. And it got to the point where I was getting invited to all of these places and events because they knew that I would make sure to take pictures and talk about, why I was at this event and so forth. And it's funny because it got to the point where my ex-husband would make fun of me and he'd be like, you're kind of like this mortgage Latina socialite. he goes, people just invite you to all these places. And I'm like, yeah, because they see the value in me wanting to help their cause too. And once again, it came from a place of just genuinely wanting to do that. But then people started realizing like, okay, that's free.
Free advertising, free marketing here. Get Raquel,
Yeah.
bring her in. She's going to share with the world what we're doing here.
And that's essentially how influencers started, on social media. I get boxes of stuff a lot of times. Like I get gifted things because they know too that I'll be so excited that I'll post about it and say thank you. So I got like a whole bunch of free coffee. I have like 6 months of worth of free coffee from someone too, because they saw it. Happened to be an old neighbor actually, but we hadn't connected in years, but he'd been following me on LinkedIn and I didn't know that. And he saw me do a post about manifestation. And I mentioned that I was on my second cup of coffee. And because of that, he reached out and said, hey, I'm the CEO of a coffee company. Can I send you coffee? I'm like, duh, yeah.
You're like, I guess. I mean, if you got to twist my arm, I guess I'll drink some of your free coffee.
Someone asked, like, how do you get to that point? I'm like, and that's how it started. So I tell people all the time, like, if you're a business, if you're a loan officer, showcase your business partners who you work with. Like, it's not all about you. Like, none of us do this on our own.
No.
None of us. It takes a village in your personal life and in your business life.
It really does.
Talk about that village.
Well, and what's so cool about it is, again, you weren't trying to get free coffee out of it. You were just being you. And I always tell people, like, if you are just you, you're authentic, your genuine self. I know those words are overused, and some people say, oh, of course, authentic, genuine. But you were just hanging out. You were talking about coffee, something you enjoy, something that helps fuel your day, something that is part of our daily life. And then somebody was following you. They appreciate you. They trust you. They respect you. That's what creating content. That's what building a brand. Literally, we could stop right here. I mean, we've only been going for like 12 minutes. You guys could just take that, digest it, and start implementing what Raquel has talked about just in these last few minutes. And it would literally change your game for 2022. It would completely change how you look at a brand, because Raquel, it really is that at the end of the day. You're not trying to create content. You're not trying to connect with people just so, like I said, it's a paycheck. It's a sales opportunity. It's just because ultimately, and again, why you've done it, it's because it's people, it's relationships, it's enjoying the opportunity to meet new people. And I think that in itself is really what building a brand is all about.
Yeah, because I think when we start overthinking and we start overanalyzing and we start thinking has to be perfect, then that's where we get all kind of messed up. And I have never used any content, calendar. I don't have like a calendar of like when I'm going to post. I don't post at certain times of the day or certain days. For me, it really is about like in the moment. And I tell people there's content everywhere. So that's why it's not really creating content, because your everyday life is content. It really is. If people if they thought about that, I think they wouldn't stress so hard about like, well, I don't know what to post. And let me tell you, folks, nowadays it is changing. Social media, it's evolving so quickly, and a lot has to do with the pandemic. So for instance, I will say even LinkedIn. LinkedIn, just in the last, even 6 months, I've seen a huge change in LinkedIn and just what people are posting. A lot more personal. Yes, you do have critics that are like, this isn't Facebook. This isn't, it doesn't belong here. But I will give you a perfect example of how at the end of the day, it's a people. So there's someone in my LinkedIn community. Unfortunately, her house burned down and she has 2 young kids in Oklahoma. Just earlier this week, the house burned down. Everything was destroyed. She has friends on LinkedIn that were nice enough to start sharing like, hey, this is someone in our community. And of course, people were like, this isn't Facebook. And they were like, screw that. Like, this is about community and helping one another. And they have now raised, I think, like $20,000 in the last couple of days to help with Christmas gifts, because literally everything burned down and she has 2 young kids.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you that at the end of the day, it is about the relationships and the people. And the only way that you're going to do that is if you yourself are willing to put yourself out there in that way. I mean, there's no like magic thing that's going to happen. You have to be willing to put in the work and the consistency. And I think, and you and I know this, it happens in the industry. It's the consistency part, and it's the effort and the time that is really detrimental for a lot of these loan officers, because they're like, I'm just too busy. You're not too busy for just like 2-3 minutes out of your day just to post something. Really, like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, just something in the moment. And people are really appreciating that. Like, really, that's why I'm saying there's a shift.
Yeah.
Or before, I think people were like, oh, what are you doing? Now everyone's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you just posted this about, like, you know, something that just happened in your business day or in your personal day. And like, thank you.
Well, and that's why I see you as such a pioneer, because people have, and I've talked with Joe Wilson about the same thing, about posting personal content on LinkedIn is becoming more and more relevant. Like, it's becoming, because you and I both experienced it. I would post something personal on there and somebody would be like, this isn't Facebook. Like, you get one of like, this isn't Instagram. And it's like, well, but at the end of the day, all of us who are business professionals, we're still trying to build relationships. We're still trying to connect with people on a deeper level. So that's what really does. If you keep sharing business stuff, like, nobody's ever going to go to like take you to a new deeper level with you. You have to be able to share things that are actually outside of work. That's where we really build that trust, that confidence, that respect, that love, that admiration. Like you said, this lady who had her house burned down, I'm sure we shared on Facebook as well, but LinkedIn, like, what better place to reach out to other professionals? And for the most part, people who are pretty fortunate in their business lives, who could possibly give back, who could serve, who could help people in our community, because that's what business is all about.
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's serving the people around us, serving our community. Why we are all working so hard, why we have the careers that we do, is to provide for our loved ones and provide for the people around us. Like, this is it, people. And so and again, being the pioneer that you are, Raquel, like, I love seeing you. And again, if you guys don't follow Raquel on LinkedIn, you should, because you do post those personal things, and it's so in the moment for you. And that's why I love it, because it's ideas for me. I always tell people, still like an artist. Like, you were at Top Golf recently and you shared your awesome golf swing. Like, if you have never seen Raquel golf,
hey, and I had surgery the day before, by the way.
I know. That's why I loved it. You're like, watch this post-op surgery. I got this. Watch this. So, but that's just it. Like, it was totally raw. Like, it was just so like perfect, but that's just it. Some people think about perfect is like, well, I got to edit this and filter this and make it look good. You didn't care. You're just like, I'm going for it. Here we go.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say this, you know, because I am always learning and I'm evolving myself and adapting. So, like, for instance, right now, I'm actually putting a little bit more time and energy in Instagram. And so there are things that I'm putting on Instagram and not on LinkedIn. And I did a post about that on my LinkedIn saying, hey, you know, I'm really kind of tapping into more of my creative side and my goofy side. And sometimes I don't think that there's a place on it for LinkedIn. You know, there are certain posts that I do on Instagram that I'm like, you know what, this isn't probably the best
maybe not,
you know, post for LinkedIn. And that's fine. You know, late night at 2 a.m. eating donuts and doing like a little photo shoot on the Bally's casino floor with my coworker. I was like, you know what, we'll keep that on Instagram. Like, so it's still having enough, you know, self-awareness to kind of understand where things belong.
Sure.
As well. And so for me, Instagram, I'm hanging out a little bit more on there, and it's nothing against LinkedIn. It's just that that's where I'm at. And that's the place, like the space that I'm in, kind of just wanting to be a little bit more creative with. And I feel like Instagram is the place for that. And like Facebook, I'll tell you this, I got back on it years ago for work, but I just got off of it again earlier this year. And when I came back and, you know, started working with New American Funding, I told them, I said, listen, I'm not going to get back on Facebook. Like, I will go ahead and manage, you know, like Instagram, and I'll do that, but I'm not comfortable there. And they respected that, because some people aren't comfortable on some of those platforms, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to be everywhere.
Oh my gosh, Raquel, everybody, I've talked about this, but what you're talking about is so true. You don't have to be comfortable on all these different platforms. Pick one. Like, maybe LinkedIn is your jam.
TikTok.
Yeah, I was good.
I'm on there, but I still can't figure it out.
My team keeps pushing me a little bit. And I tell people, a lot of people are like, oh, TikTok. And I'm like, hey, that is a whole different like idea, mindset. You have to be crazy creative. Not saying that you're not, but like, you have to be willing to put yourself out there in a very different way. I love Instagram. That's where I spend a lot of my time. So I always tell people, wherever you spend the most time, whatever platform you spend the most time on, that's probably a good place to start. Because like I said, you're comfortable with it. You understand the type of content that belongs there or that is there. So really start with that, get comfortable with it. I love LinkedIn. I know you're like brilliant when it comes to LinkedIn. I have been watching your Instagram as well. So really focus on that, especially for if you're just starting on this journey of building a brand, of starting to create content. Be willing to like spend some time on it too. I always tell people for this next year, like go spend some time on the platforms, find which one that you're like, hey, you know what? This is for me. This is my jam. And I'm so glad that you mentioned like TikTok. I know you're on TikTok, but just the fact that you said, yeah, TikTok's probably not my jam.
Yeah, I know. And I was thinking about it last night. I was like, oh, I could do a post, a TikTok with, the fact that I met Justin and do something cool, but I don't know. I just am not feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, it's going to come across, if I do something that's forced. So I've learned to not force things where I think in the past I would, because I felt like, well, I got to do it and everyone keeps saying it. And then I realized, you know what? Like I got to be true to who I am. And that's just not who I am right now. Who's to say maybe a couple of months down the road, I'll decide differently. But that's the beauty of it, is that nothing's concrete.
Yeah.
Like I just said, that now I'm dabbling more on Instagram and kind of actually gone off a little bit with LinkedIn. I'm like, I don't really create content for LinkedIn necessarily. Like it's creating it for Instagram and then I'll post it on my LinkedIn if it makes sense. Like, so I'm kind of going back, like, a different route. But that's important, because I think a lot of people think that they have to figure out their brand right away and then already have like this plan of like, this is where it's going to lead and this is where it's going to go. Like, oh no, it's going to be an ebb and flow as well. And that's important to understand, because I think a lot of people think, okay, if I'm on social media, then that means I'm going to have a presence, period.
Right.
And that's
Not
the case.
And I love what you were saying there a second ago about like forcing content. You know, the people there's the difference between just getting started and being uncomfortable. Like when we all know you have to kind of go through those, those first steps. Your first 20 videos, they're going to suck, ladies and gentlemen. It's like they're so bad, but there's a huge difference in learning and just starting out and then trying to force content where and people can see that. People can, they really understand where you're trying to just to force content or be something that you're not, or just trying to do it just to check off a box. If you're doing it because you actually want to, the reasons you do it, make people smile, inspire, share, help, serve the people around you, whatever it may be, that's very, very different than just being like, well, hey, I've got to do this TikTok because people, Raquel and Josh have been talking about it for so long, so I have to do this content. Forcing it and learning it are two very different things. As you learn it, you're going to get better with time. But if you continue to force it, it's just uncomfortable. People can tell. People have, I call it a BS meter, and they can tell really quick. They're like, nah, that's not Raquel. That's not Josh. Let's just move on. So be true to you. I mean, that's what you're talking about. You got to be true to yourself.
Well, that's why I named my business True to You Branding when I started it a couple of years ago. Because at the end of the day, I was like, what do I want to put out there? Like, what is my brand? And I'm like, my brand is just being true to who you are. Like, that's it. I mean, simple as that. Just be you.
And that, like, literally, that's it. Like we keep coming back to it. We started there. We're here now. Like you just have to be true to yourself, sharing the things that you enjoy. Like we've heard so many other influencers from Gary Vaynerchuk and big names who talk about this all the time, is being yourself, like being the real you, the people who expect your friends, you hang out with them they hang out with you because they like you, not because you're a mortgage professional or real estate or insurance or whoever you are. They hang out with you because you bring good vibes, you bring a positive attitude, you bring whatever you bring to your group. People hang out with you because you're you. And if you stay true to yourself, I love the name of your company, Raquel. It was so brilliant that you named, like, being true to yourself is just one of those things that I've always tried to do. And and look where it's gotten you and I thus far. And we continue to do what we do, and we continue to enjoy it.
No, I absolutely love it. Like I feel incredibly grateful and blessed with where I'm at in my journey, but it was organic. That I think that's like the most beautiful part of it, is that never had I imagined this for myself several years ago at all. But it's because I was willing to put myself out there and showcase my interests and showcase who I was. So then obviously it attracted those people who allowed me to kind of go down that path and supported me. And so that's why I tell people all the time, because a lot of the mortgage professionals, they have other interests. Some of them, they're in this right now for financial reasons, stability, everyone has a reason, but there's plenty of people that have like a greater purpose, right?
Huh.
And the only way to share that greater purpose is by like telling people, because I think a lot of times we like assume that people know what we want in our lives or interests or passions. No, you have to tell people. Nobody can read minds. And I realized that. So for me, I was like, all right, I need to vocalize that I like, being on podcasts, that I like, meeting different people, that I like being invited to events, that I like all these things. And because of that, it allowed so many cool opportunities. And even the opportunity that you're giving me with Shred, like, I feel like I manifested that because that is something that I do want in my life.
Yep.
I want to have like a greater impact, especially with the industry, and you're allowing me to do that. But it's because I'm pretty vocal about,
but it's not just vocal. No, it's not just vocal. It's like you have, like, I started this way. You exude this excitement and this energy that is contagious. Like when people see you, when they see you smiling, when they see you talking, when they see you deep in conversation or sharing the value that we have here on this episode, people just like, they're just like, man, that was impactful. Like you said, you want the opportunity to impact people's lives. And that's exactly what we do. But you have to put it out there. It'd be like, if you didn't put it out there and let people know, like you wouldn't be getting the at-bats or the opportunities that you have. So for everybody listening, that's why this is so critical. Building a brand, doing what you're doing, creating this content, sharing it with the world. You never know whose life you're going to be able to impact. You never know with something that you share.
You never know who's paying attention. There's so many things that I've seen recently on social media where it took one person to see someone's video, see their post, and then reach out. And like all these crazy things have been in a good, positive way have been happening because of like that one person that happened to see a video or a post.
Yep.
And I feel like it's happening more and more these days. And so that's why I'm like, you really don't ever know. I mean, people assume like, oh, Gary Vee would never see this, or so-and-so would never see this, or people that they emulate, like, no, believe me, there's been instances where I have been super shocked that someone saw something of mine that was like at a pretty high level and someone that I really looked up to and respected. And I was like, holy crap. Okay. This is like for real.
This is the real deal. I mean, speaking of that, you were just named one of the top 50 influencers, right? Of LinkedIn, or
I wasn't. No, but you know what? And this is going to be a perfect example.
Okay.
My best friend was, and I forced her on LinkedIn a year ago, and she got on, had no clue. Like I wasn't advising her really. Like, she was getting connection requests because I had pretty much put her on blast on LinkedIn. Yeah. Like, hey, this is my bestie. She's on LinkedIn now. Connect with her. So she was getting a lot of requests. So I did say like, hey, yes, no, like kind of be careful. Don't just accept everyone. Like that advice I did give her. I was like, sure. It should be about community. Well, a year later, she already has 2 live stream shows. Brian Schulman's huge on LinkedIn. She's now partnered up with him. She's been on a ton of podcasts, but she from the start was like, I don't know how to show up any other way than myself. So she shared her sexual abuse. She shared everything from the start. Like she was like, and she created this movement, Radiating Real on LinkedIn. And here a year later, she ends up getting top 50 LinkedIn, most impactful people on LinkedIn. And it's the credit. Yeah, I might have told her, like I might have been a catalyst for her on there, but it was all her, the fact that how she showed up, like she legit showed up.
See,
and that's a huge example. And she's a teacher. She's a speech therapist. She's not some like, person out in the corporate world that she's works for LA Unified, is a speech therapist. Wow. Like it's.
See, but that's what we never know. Like you had the impact on this incredible friend of yours. And now look how many lives that she's impacted. Sometimes we forget about that exponential effect that we're going to have. We have just affected one person's life. We inspire one person to go out there to push through that comfort zone. Like, you know what? And like you said, your friend wasn't ready or she was ready, but she just needed that push. You were the one who just gave her that. You gave her that little nudge. And now look how many lives she's impacted through you.
Her life, she literally will she tests like LinkedIn has changed her life.
Wow.
She's like, I have built a family. Like she legit like took it. Like she was like, all right, if I'm on this platform, I'm just gonna like go for it. And
Mm.
she did. And so it just goes to show you, and she still doesn't have a huge following. Like she really doesn't. So it just goes to show you that even that small amount of people that she has reached out to really had she made such a huge impact that they were willing to nominate her to be on that list. And so she's just the perfect example of someone that was like, just went for it, didn't overthink it, nothing, just was
And
herself.
And as we start to wrap things up here, that's such a perfect almost note to end on. Is sometimes we think it's all about the followers, it's all about the subscribers, it's all about the likes and the views. It's not. Like
Mhm.
it could simply be just one person watching your video that you had an impact on, or you changed their life, and that's why we do it. That's why we set out on this journey of building a brand, of creating content, is because it's just a matter of, you never know who you're going to change their life and impact their life, like Raquel did with her friend, and now she is out there changing how many more lives. That's the ripple effect. We never know, but that's the opportunity each one. And every, Raquel was probably the only person who was able to help her friend, to push her. If I was her friend, maybe I could have pushed it and it didn't come off the right way. Each and every one of us has unique traits and abilities to impact other people. There are people that Raquel will be able to touch and be able to influence that I won't, just because they connect with her in that way. So it's so brilliant to share that, Raquel. I'm so excited. That just like warms my heart. What a great message to end with. We're teasing it here. This will probably air after, but we're so excited to have Raquel part of the Shred team, being the host of Women Shred Wednesday. She's going to have so many incredible guests on there. It's going to be so much fun. We're so humbled and honored to have you part of the Shred team and doing it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Me too. I'm super, super honored and humbled, and just like that best Christmas gift ever.
winning.
Forget my Justin Herbert jersey that should be arriving any second.
What? That's awesome. Well, I guarantee we're going to see a post of that. We're going to see a post of it. But all right. All right. So as we wrap things up, Raquel, we always end this show with a couple of random questions from our pod deck series. So she wasn't expecting. You saw her reaction. She had no idea this was coming.
No,
we
I
always
didn't.
surprise. We like to surprise our guests with this. These are 3 totally random questions that I just drew out of the box. So we're going to hit these random questions and we're going to call it a show. So, this is a fun one. Which actor or actress would you play in a documentary? Which would you play?
I feel like, because I get this all the time, I would play Jennifer Aniston. I've gotten that, and especially when I had that Rachel haircut and my hair was blonder, but I do get Jennifer Aniston a lot. So maybe
really, there you go. Go back in a reboot of Friends or some documentary. That
really cool person too, like very genuine, very just like down to earth. So I feel like it'd be perfect.
Hey, now that you say that kind of, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see that. That works. I like it. Okay, second one. Oh, very interesting one. Where do you go when you need to blow off some steam?
So if I were back in San Diego, it'd be La Jolla Shores, the ocean. But usually here, I won't go anywhere. I'll just blast my Bluetooth speakers with music and I'll dance around my condo.
I can see you just like hair going crazy, dancing around.
Like,
just like,
and all the time I'm like, because I never close my blinds and I'm in a condo. I know the townhome row behind me is probably like, oh, there she goes again in the kitchen. Like, dancing.
Oh my gosh.
Like legit, like people say dance like there's no one watching.
And that's you. We're one of these days, we're going to see this video of like Raquel, and she has no idea that her neighbor's filming her.
I wouldn't have any idea, but I have videoed myself, recorded myself in the kitchen dancing and posted it before.
Oh,
just kind of like,
that's hilarious. Like, this is it. This is me. I like that. That's simple. That's easy. Mine's the mountains. Yeah. If I ever need to go and get away and like blow off some steam, I mean, I live in the mountains, but just going on for a hike, throwing the backpack on, going for a hike. That's what really gets me and helps me kind of really focus in. All right. Last one.
Okay.
What is one thing you wish you would spend more time on doing when you were a kid? What's something you wish you did more as a kid?
This is going to be kind of profound.
Being
a kid.
Really?
Yeah. I try to grow up too fast. I matured very young and was already very aware of like how people were looking at me, my image. So even as a kid already, I was very much kind of like, all right, I have to put up, a front, a mask, and be this person that I'm not. And so now that's why I get to now honor that kid that I didn't honor as a young girl. That's why I am that let's just say that's a huge reason and a part of why I am who I am today, because I didn't allow myself to be a kid.
That's deep, but that's probably so true for so many of us. It's like, hey, be a kid, like enjoy the moment. Sometimes all of us, even as adults, sometimes I think we forget to take a step back and like enjoy the time that we have now. We're going to, when you and I get to our 60, 70, 80, we're going to look back and say like, oh, we should have spent more time, but you're living the moment now. You're living your fullest now. So
so if you're a parent and you have kids, just let them be kids.
Let them be kids. Especially this holiday season, be patient with them, have fun with them, enjoy it. So Raquel, this has been absolutely brilliant. I cannot wait for so many more episodes of Women Shred Wednesday. You're going to do an incredible job. We're so excited for it. And then again, thank you so much. You shared so many brilliant guys. Go back and listen to this episode. There were so many great little points that Raquel, like we literally could have stopped after 12 minutes and would have been game on, but we've gone for we're 36 minutes into this.
That's I think a first for me, like sharing golden nuggets in the beginning. Usually it's like
this one was just packed. No, this one was brilliant. So thank you so much. You have been incredible. And again, looking forward to working with you and collaborating together. 2022 is going to be an amazing year.
Yes, it is.
All right, Raquel, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys listening in. Make sure you guys go subscribe, listen in, hit that like button, go follow Raquel on all her social channels. And I promise you, she's going to make you smile. You're going to have a good time with this. So as always, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you guys to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us on another episode of Brand and Shred. I hope you got as much value out of this episode as I did. And if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss a single weekly episode with the incredible guests that we're bringing you to help you build your personal brand. Click that subscribe button, share, and even leave a comment. We appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you next week on another episode, Brand and Shred.